Let this sink in for a moment. The lack of financial education cost Americans $450 billion in 2021. 78% of American homeowners are living paycheck to paycheck. And right now, most American homeowners are equity rich and cash poor. That's another word for broke. The media isn't helping you. Schools aren't helping you. And the government for sure isn't going to save you. As a top 1% mortgage professional and seasoned investor, I cannot sit around and watch these life-changing skills that I've learned outside of traditional schooling be unused, untaught, and thrown in the trash can. So until these statistics change, I'll be here every single week, preaching and teaching personal and professional finance, information that you can use in your life, however that looks, whether you are 16 or 60. Hey friends, welcome back to another Happy Homeowner Podcast. I have a really special guest today, Nikki Cook with John L. Scott. We are going to talk about one of my favorite, not just cities, but niches or neighborhoods in a city. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. But if you're new to the podcast, I created this podcast 3 years ago for my existing clients. I wanted my clients to learn more about the beautiful places that we live in, the neighborhoods that we live in, from experts that sell real estate and live in these communities. Also, I have a lot of people that relocate here from not just out of the state, but out of the country. And so this podcast helps people learn more about the incredible areas that I've spent almost 50 years living in right now. So we got a super special episode today. I always start out when I bring in guests, especially real estate agents and professionals in our communities. As I introduce Nikki, I would love to learn more about how our paths cross today. Like, you're in real estate, I'm in mortgage lending. I've had the opportunity, the privilege to work with you on a lot of deals over the last couple of years. So we've known each other for a few years. Professionally, we've worked together. Personally, we've spent some time together. And I can tell you, Nikki's first class. She also runs a great business. But how did you get into real estate?
Okay, so there's a couple things. I love helping people, but I bought my first home when I was 19 years old. And so I firsthand was able to experience the massive positive growth from investing young and early. And after that, it just was kind of the gateway into real estate with multiple investments. And, you know, there's a huge gap in real estate right now, whether it's not just closing a transaction, it's building a experience and a real relationship and protecting people and having their backs. And I think we need more of that in this industry. Yep. And I just love that part of it.
So you hit it right on the head, experience. I think that the average real estate agent, the average mortgage lender, I think the average business professional just does their job.
Right.
And people like you and people like me I've been in the mortgage industry for quite some time. I've invested in real estate for over 25 years. These are the largest and greatest financial decisions people will make. And so attaching the word experience to it, people remember. And I love it because it is a financial experience, buying and selling real estate, especially.
It's one of the biggest of their life. Yeah. It's not just, I'm not here to just open a door or send a contract. Yeah. I'm here to be with you during and after.
Yeah. If you ask anyone, you know, that's like 50 or 60 years of age, hey, do you remember the first house that you bought? I've never heard someone say, actually, I don't.
Yeah.
Right? So this is a big deal. And I know you provide an incredible experience. And so I want to know why you chose Snohomish, but a niche or a sub neighborhood within Snohomish. What did you choose and why did you choose this community?
Okay, so I chose Three Lakes area in Snohomish. For people that aren't familiar, it is between like Dutch Hill and Machias, Dubuque. So I was born and raised 5th generation Snohomish from the Dubuque area. And I just love Three Lakes because you're so close to town, but you can get property. And you know, just be a 5-10 minute drive to town. I think it's something really special. You're surrounded by Centennial Trail. You have multiple lakes. flowing. Panther Lake, Blackman's Lake is right in town.
Yep.
Lake Rosinger is a little bit further out, but
Storm
Lake. Yep.
The Pilchuck River, which you mentioned.
Yep.
Yeah. It's crazy how within seconds or minutes from downtown Snohomish, you can be in nature. So when people think of Snohomish, if they're not typically familiar with it, they think of Highway 9 coming into Snohomish, the really cute downtown where your office is at. What is that? First Avenue?
First Street.
Yep. And they think of that. They think of maybe some farmlands that they saw coming in, maybe a little airport or a little, paint. What is the little Harvey Field, right? What you don't realize is that if you keep going a little bit, what would that be, like northeast-ish? Is that right? From Highway 9? Just right on the other side of downtown, following the Pilchuck River, not the Snohomish River, you get into this area that Nikki's describing as Three Lakes. Now, I know a little bit more about this, guys, because I grew up on Three Lakes Road.
Which I just learned.
You just learned. That's what I love. Like, we don't prep for these. I literally say, hey, you're a great real estate agent. You saw a lot of real estate. You've got a lot of knowledge about certain communities. Pick a community, come with some market stats that we're going to talk about. But I didn't know that you picked Three Lakes, which is awesome.
If you want, a half an acre or more, you really have to go outside of, and it still provides an easy commute.
Yeah. Well, what I love too, that you chose this community, we've discussed on this podcast before, like Maltby and some of these other areas that are just quite frankly, they're higher cost. Their average list price or average sales price is 1.1 to 1.2. What's really great and unique about the Three Lakes community is your average sales price, we're going to get into some stats here in a second, is under $1 million. It's like right around $890 to $900. And so that's really great from an affordability standpoint. And so we're going to discuss kind of what that is compared to some of these other areas where you're dealing with 1.112. You're dealing with more acreage. You're dealing with bigger, newer type homes. So before we get into some market stats and the type of homes that you would find in the Three Lakes area under $1 million, under $900,000, let's talk about the market right now. So I do want to date this. I want to put a timestamp on this. We're in the middle of September 2025. We are in a changing market, which is beautiful. I've been waiting to say this for about 3.5 years. The Fed actually is speaking this week, and mortgage rates are going to continue to come down as the Fed continues to ease and on their stance in regards to the Fed rate. But right now, market-wise, are we in September 2025? Are we in, I'm going to ask you a two-part question. Are we in a buyer's market or a seller's market in the Snohomish Three Lakes area? Number one. Okay. And then number two, help us kind of understand, if you're listening to this, well, what is a buyer's market? What is a seller's market? Is a buyer's market a good market for just buyers? So let's, as real estate professionals, how do you define that? So are we in a buyer's market or seller's market? And then define that. Okay.
So there's some variables for that question. First of all, I think that it's been a buyer's market. The days on market have averaged about 30 days, give or take. That also has a lot to do with how your listing agent is prepping the home.
Right.
If you see a home on the market that's beautifully prepped and staged and is photographed well, it's going in under 10 days. But the homes that are not prepped and are overpriced or not, didn't get that care prior, like pre-listing, it's a longer market time and it's creating the buyer's market. There's more opportunity for buyers in that scenario.
Okay, cool. So this is a little bit of projecting as we wrap up 2025. Do you see this buyer's market, seller's market switching as you're continuing to see in the headlines and continuing to see day to day that mortgage rates are dropping?
Yeah, as mortgage rates continue to come down, it's going to move into more of a seller's market. Okay. It's a desirable place for families, for the school district, to raise kids and have a yard and property. There's a lot of move-up buyers that want that location. And when the rates continue to drop, it's going to push people back in and the homes are going to move faster.
So this is a part where I'm going to kind of go off script here because we're in that transitionary type market from maybe a seller's market to a buyer's market or a buyer's market to a seller's market. This is where working with a pro really matters, because professionals understand something that I learned about 12 years ago to get really good at this in the financial worlds, in the relative to economics, mortgages, real estate, financial planning, life, health, marriages, kids, are cycles. Right. So real estate is cyclical and real estate is seasonal. There's two cycles that impact real estate, but everything that we do in life is a part of a cycle, and it has patterns. And the sooner that you can understand that, especially in real estate, like Nikki looking at data, she's going to tell you right now that based off of, let's say the Fed, let's say consumer confidence, that's going to flip this market really quickly. There's opportunities for buyers right now, but not for much longer.
I was going to say not for long. And as a buyer today, or someone thinking about buying, get pre-qualified yesterday.
Yep.
So you're ready.
Yep, you're ready to take advantage of this. Or let's say you don't. It's no big deal. We still are advocates for owning real estate. You're just going to pay more for that home, because as rates drop and there becomes more competition, it will drive up that, for example, that $890,000 median sales price in the Three Lakes area. It'll drive that up. I mean, 10%, that's almost $100,000. So now you're paying almost $1 million now for this particular home. So, all right. Let's transition now into some data. And we're not going to spend a ton of time on this because this can get boring really, really fast. But that's why I picked the top 3 data points. When I'm talking with a home buyer and they're asking me about how to get a deal or how to make sure they don't overpay, these are some of the concerns that people that are coming to me for financing when they're buying real estate, they're like, I want to make sure I'm not overpaying. I want to make sure I'm not upside down. I want to make sure that I'm getting a quote unquote good deal. This is how I help them define a deal. Because, for example, if they're like, nope, I'm looking at $800,000 houses and we want a deal, so we're going to offer $50,000 below asking. It's like, okay, I understand that that's your way of thinking you're going to get a deal. Yeah. Go talk with Nikki. Go talk with your real estate agent and ask this one question. Right now, in this neighborhood that we're looking in, what is the current list price to sales price? If it's $50,000 below list price, then good on you. That's what you should do. But I'm going to be honest with you. It's probably like 3 or 4% below list price, or 2 or 3% above list price to sales price. So you offering $50,000 low is not going to serve you well.
No.
Right. So let's talk about, in the Three Lakes area, one stat that I really like is days on market. What are current days on market? What does that look like now? And then is it up or down from a year ago?
Yeah. Days on market is a little bit up from a year ago. And that has been, given our current interest rates. Last year it was about 26. Right now is about 30 days on market.
So historically speaking, not bad.
And it's not bad. No, but if you want to take a deeper dive into that, the homes that are prepped beautifully,
right,
they're selling much quicker.
And again, this is average. So you have some that will perform better and some that might perform a little bit worse. The ones that perform better, I will just tell you, they listen to their agent and they're like, oh, okay, Nikki said to do this, this, and this. We do that. And it sells quicker for more money.
Right.
Yeah. Shocking. All right. So one of my favorite stats that I look at as a mortgage lender when I'm talking to people, list price to sales price in the Three Lakes area.
Right. So list price is slightly, let's start with sales price. It's about $980 currently. And, list price, putting a 1 in front of that number has created a longer days on market, and it's resulting in, just below $1 million.
Okay. So not bad at all. So year over year, has that improved or has that declined a little?
I would say it just changes depending on what season that we're in. We do have more inventory than we've had in a long time. And I think that's really driving these stats.
Okay. Perfect. Now, last one, new listings. I like this one, new listings versus solds this year over last year. That's a kind of a more complicated way to say, is there more inventory than this year or last year?
Just slightly. So this year is about 136 new homes for the month of August. Last year was 126.
Okay, cool.
So we're fairly similar. I will say Snohomish is huge if you think about it. Yeah. So just this month of August, there was 198 new listings. About 20 of those were the Three Lakes area.
Okay.
So, it's more rural. The properties are more spread out.
What kind of homes, kind of going off script here too, but since we're talking about Three Lakes, it's more rural, it's more spread out. It's a small representation of what happens in Snohomish, right? What kind of, are we talking like half acre, 1 acre lots? Are we talking manufactured homes? Are we talking ramblers? What's kind of the typical home in the Three Lakes area? All over the board?
It's all over the board.
Okay.
You have manufactured homes. You have half acre lots. You'll have 5 acre lots. There's a lot of new construction. So it ranges.
Okay.
You can find just about anything. You know, if buyers have certain interests, we got it all.
I love that. So in general, kind of putting a button on this, and then I'm gonna close this down with some how much money you need to earn to qualify to buy in this area here in a second. But in general, I'm hearing you say Three Lakes is super convenient. It's attractive because it's kind of rural, but it's very close to downtown Snohomish. If you go out the back side of Three Lakes, we find ourselves like kind of like getting the back way entry into like Monroe.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Trombley, Spada, the Storm Lake area. And people are buying that area in the Three Lakes area for the lifestyle that it's bringing.
Yeah.
For the home, the property, and the town, the close-knit community, you know, the special things that we do in Snohomish, like the parades and events.
Yeah. And Monroe has completely blown up. That's a topic for a different day. But yeah, you're just skip through the woods and down the hill to Monroe, right?
Yeah, and you have a lot more new construction towards Monroe, the Snohomish Monroe area.
So if someone were to buy in the three, I'm putting you on the spot here. This was not on the questions that I sent over. So if you don't know, you don't know. If someone were to buy a home in the Three Lakes area, high school wise, are they Snohomish High School or are they Glacier Peak?
You're Snohomish High School.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. Right on. Good school district too.
Yeah. Well, and you know, actually from Robin Hood Lane, so the fairgrounds, almost Monroe, all the way to Dubuque, if you know where the Dubuque dump is, that's all, most of it's Dutch Hill School District now. Okay. Just one elementary covers that wide range because the homes, it's less dense. There's more property.
Yeah.
Where you see us, you know, in town, you have a much smaller area going to the elementary school.
Yep. That's fascinating. This is why you hire a local pro, you guys, because they'll teach you about these different sub areas, sub neighborhoods in these really cool cities. All right. So I'm hearing you say overall thoughts on Three Lakes. You chose this because you love it. It's a great area, proximity to downtown. If you're interested in living in this area, I wanted to kind of put a button on this and we're going to finish up with some really good real estate information, some advice and tips that Nikki has. But if you wanted to live here, I'm just going to say the average sales price, because I'm going to move it up. Median was $890, average was $988. I'm just going to use $900 for now. Okay. Average down payment in Snohomish and King County in 2025 is 7% down. Okay. So I'm going to use 7% down, $900,000 sales price. The total mortgage payment, including property tax estimates, homeowners insurance estimates, and PMI estimates, is right around $6,200 a month. Okay. I'm going to assume you have a little bit of debt, like $500 a month in revolving debt. So reverse engineering this number, you need to make approximately about $15,000 a month total household income to buy in about that $900,000 price point. So to give you some perspective, that's about $175,000 a year in income, total household income. And, you know, from a living in Snohomish, living in Monroe, this is well below the average. So this is an awesome, hopefully this might give you a little bit of perspective on, hey, I like Snohomish. I don't like the 1.3, 1.5 price point. There's some options out there.
Yeah.
So
there's also some options too that are, maybe they're dated, but they have the property that you want and, you know, the house is structurally sound and you can add your finishing touches over time, you know, if that payment feels comfortable for the time being and just over time, make it your own.
Yep. I love it. All right. So this is where I get to ask a pro. This is the Ask the Pro section. So Nikki, if someone were thinking about selling a home in the next 6 months, so they had like 6 months to prepare to sell their home, what should they be doing right now to prepare?
Calling your agent right now. You have that's perfect timing. You have 6 months, puts you on the market, March. So first of all, start with your agent and get a list of things that you need to do to prep your home in the winter months and start getting it prepped and ready and take care of that punch list. And that will put you at the top, especially in March next year,
Yeah.
prime time.
So I heard two things. Number one, she goes back to cycles and patterns. So it's really easy for her to take the current, remember, cyclical and seasonal. So the cycle that we're in, are rates going down? Are they going up? Because that directly impacts values, number one. Two, seasonal. Spring, pre-summer. So you can take those cycles and those seasons and those patterns and you can apply it to, okay, this is where, based off of where we're at now, where you might be in March, price-wise and market-wise, expectation-wise. Number two, prep. How do you help your sellers 6 months out prep, get that honey-do list or to-do list?
It's all about first impression. So curb appeal, cleanliness. Some of these items are the least expensive or free things that you can do on prepping the inside and outside. That first impression, does it need paint? Like the small checklist to really make it shine. I'm not asking you to update your kitchen or your bathrooms and do huge updates. It's what are the small things that we can tackle now that'll show your home in the best of light for you to get top dollar.
Okay, so I have a feeling I know the answer to this. So what are the biggest mistakes you're seeing sellers make right now in this market?
Waiting.
Okay.
Waiting too long, skipping prep, hiring agents that are not using professional photography. I'm seeing a lot of cell phone photos. I'm seeing horrible photos in general, cluttered homes, just lack of prep. This is your biggest investment. Act like it. Hire someone who treats it like that and has your back.
It's crazy how someone could discount their photography, marketing the largest transaction of their life. When it's like the key component.
That, and if I show up to a home and if it wasn't prepped for photos, you better believe I'm behind the scenes sweating and moving clutter around to, you get one chance. And if your photos aren't great, people aren't going to schedule a showing. So if you got to make those photos shine.
That's huge. Okay, so now we're going to switch gears. We went from sellers. Let's switch gears.
Fired up.
I know. I love it. This is why we're here. This is like really good information for my viewers, my listeners. So switching gears to buyers. So if a buyer came to you and said, hey, Nikki, now's not the right time to buy, but we're thinking of buying in the next year, specifically in the next 6 months. What is something right now buyers should be doing if they had about a 6-month window for them to get into the market?
So first of all, knowledge is power. Meet with a lender. Dan is great. And get pre-qualified. Just figure out where you're at. Figure out what you need to work on. I'm going to use this example. We have a client that we just closed on last week in Monroe. She said to me when I handed her the keys, we were going to put this off for another year and keep saving. Do you know what that would have done to them? Instead, we were able to get them a 2-1 buy down, credits. We negotiated inspection items. They're so over the moon excited, and they're going to get equity when the market goes up and the rates come down, and then they can refinance.
If the market were to have changed a year from now, like it's projected to do, the credit most likely wouldn't have been there from the seller. And then add on that 5 to 10% appreciation or higher sales price because of the drop in interest rates. So and they were prepared. Budget was dialed in, approval was dialed in, but they got really good advice from you on the community, how to make a move, why to make the move. And I think that that credit that you were able to negotiate really, we're like, okay, we can do this.
And they're like, we're not in a hurry. We don't pay rent. We're fine. We're comfortable. They just want to start looking, and they chose the speed. And found the one. And so, having the conversation early allows for more opportunity. I think.
I think it does. It's huge. So I heard you say budget, getting approved, getting all that dialed in. And then I think part of that conversation that I have with clients when we're talking about budgeting is I always talk with my clients about the market and then your market. And people are like, well, what's the difference? What is your market? And so your market is your 5-year outlook, your 1-year outlook, your 5-year, your 10-year. Okay, why are we making this decision? Let's understand the patterns in your life. And then we can transition to the market, and that's understanding the patterns, the cycles in the market. And then we connect the two. And that's exactly what we did with these guys. They saw it overlapped. They're like, this makes sense. So that's really, really good information. Okay, so the biggest mistake now that you're seeing buyers make in this market?
Waiting till the market crashes, waiting for the interest rates to drop. if you can afford it now, it's the right time. Doesn't mean it's the right time for everyone, because it's not. You may not be in a position where it's the right time, but I think taking that first step is the hardest, and exploring your options and what that looks like for you and your family.
Yeah. What's the saying? It's not about timing the market, it's time in the market, right? So just get in. In order to win this game of real estate, you got to be in the game.
Well, and I think so many buyers set the expectation of, okay, we're spending, X amount. This is a lot. We want the perfect home. It has to check all the boxes. And so they start out looking with that mindset. And then it slowly shifts over time on being willing to compromise. Your first home does not need to be your dream home. Yes, it should check boxes. It should make you excited. You should be able to, imagine your life there. But it's not going to be your forever home. That's your ticket in and your investment for your next home.
I love it. So I love getting the opportunity to work with Nikki. She is an incredible real estate agent. Tell us where to find you online. Number one, your content's great. You make great content online. It's a lot of it's behind the scenes. A lot of her Instagram and her Facebook is more of like the behind the scenes. Oh my gosh, I just left a listing. Oh my gosh, I just left the showing. Oh my gosh, I should have brought a bodyguard today. I remember that one that you did recently. And so it's awesome. And so you learn a lot from that. But where can we find you online, number one? And again, remind us who you're with, where your office is, and how we can connect with you.
Yeah, so I'm with John L. Scott in Snohomish, right down on First Street. Beautiful office. You can stop in anytime. And I'm on Instagram and Facebook, nikki.cook.realestate.
Not a hard one to remember or forget. That's a good one. Yeah. All right, you guys, that was really good, Nikki. I appreciate you taking time out of your day. Reach out to Nikki. She is a pro in Snohomish, and I can vouch firsthand. She takes incredible care of her clients. That's a wrap today. We'll get you another incredible local guest on our next episode. In the meantime, if you need anything, I encourage you to reach out to Nikki, reach out to me. We'll see you on the other side next time on the Happy Homeowner Podcast. Bye for now.
Bye.